too low. The San Francisco 49ers. I don't know what Kyle Shanahan said in that team meeting, in that players and coaches only meeting. Like, you do the team meeting. For those of you who have never been in the NFL, you do a team meeting at the beginning of the week. And not only is it players and coaches, it's the training staff, the strength staff is in there in the back row. And then at the end of those meetings, if things aren't going well for your season, they say, all non-players and coaches leave the room, right?
Or non-essential.
Players and coaches stay. Everybody else, go get your coffee and donuts. They're free in the lobby. And then the doors close. And then some truth is told. And whatever truths were told in that San Francisco 49ers team meeting last week, it was the right stuff to say. Because Kyle Shanahan's team went out there and embarrassed the Bears. And not only that, Brock Purdy looked like a guy who's worth every penny of this new contract he's going to get. I saw the defense play inspired brand of football. They had Hufanga back in there with the club on his hand. That's a guy that you love to see back on the field if you're a 49ers fan, because they haven't exactly gotten great play out of a guy like Jair Brown at that position. So this San Francisco 49ers team, I know that this is a power rankings list and everybody looks at it differently, but I look at the power rankings like, who could you beat right now? Where do you stack up right now? And that San Francisco 49ers team that I saw take the field in Santa Clara this past week, they should be higher.
If that team would be higher, but have we consistently seen that team?
No, but right. I'm betting that 2 weeks in a row we're going to see it from this group.
Yeah, I'm not going to go to war for the 49ers over really the Dolphins, maybe the Cardinals, but definitely the Colts. I would say probably a little bit higher, but I do think it's a little too late. And especially if you don't have Nick Bosa, I still think that's a big issue when you face someone who doesn't hold the ball.
I'm putting him at 15. I got him above the Dolphins, the Cardinals, and the Colts.
How about Hufanga
and the Texans,
Mustafa
for that matter?
Hitting the hell out of you in the back end. Mustafa and Hufanga.
Mustafa plays a friggin' different speed.
Those guys will hit you, too.
And I think it's because they watch a guy like Fred Warner play in that red line speed, and they all feel confident.
Their season was on the line Thursday night.
Yes.
Let's be real.
Yes. My team, that's too low. Same division. I'm going to go Los Angeles Rams. Yep. We didn't touch on them yet, but they were number 13 in Pete's power rankings, behind Denver, behind Washington. I'm putting them above both those teams right now.
Yep.
When you come at the King and Buffalo Bills and put up 44 on them, I think this offense is for real, and especially because, not only because Kupp and Puka, but the offensive line turned around. First 9 weeks of the season, Matt Stafford had single-digit pressures in his games, 3 of the 9 games. Last 4 weeks, 3 of the 4 weeks. The offensive line has had a massive turnaround. When he has time with those wide receivers, you are going to have difficulty stopping this offense.
With a rookie center, by the way, who's playing well.
Yeah.
I mean, that line healthy is pretty good. It's not great. It's pretty good.
It's good enough. I mean, more than good enough, right?
It's funny,
that's where you need to get to.
When I think about a McVay team, I think about cerebral. I think about talented, but I don't think about tough. Now when I watch this team, I'm like, they're like the toughest,
grind it out.
They're like the toughest team in the NFC West right now.
They had 6 rookies play on defense, and 5 of them played 30 or more snaps the other day. Think about that.
Team building. That's important.
5.
Yeah.
5 played 30 or more snaps, and they're contributors, all of them, every single one of them. I mean, everybody knows Fisk and First, but Spates, Kitchens, and who's the other one?
I like the guy Spate.
The other
Fisk.
Safety.
Oh, safety. Gosh.
I'm having a brain fart there.
Rookie, safety.
He played 30 snaps, I think, too.
It's McCullough.
They believe. I mean, they've got an offense. They've got a couple guys on the defensive front that can get after people. They have a chance, and they're going to make a run. And we talked about.
I worry about the corners. They're
on a collision course.
I mean, their secondary is still
de facto NFC West championship
susceptible. They didn't necessarily play defense against the Bills. That's not why.
Their secondary is definitely beatable. Darius Williams can't run anymore. I mean, the
Rams are scary.
Offensively, they're scary. Defensively, they're not.
Yeah.
It's scary because you have to go and match that production.
They're the kind of team that
offense.
if they make the playoffs, they could pull off a round 1 upset. But then I don't think they're.
You know where they'd be in round 1 probably.
Philly.
Green Bay probably, wouldn't they? If they don't. Oh, you're saying if they win if they're a wild card.
Yeah, they would probably play. Well, they probably play Minnesota then. They'd probably be the last.
They would be.
I think they get after Minnesota.
The Bucs and them have the same record right now.
Well, the Bucs would win the division, so they'd be 4.
Yeah, well,
5 would be the Rams. 5 would be the Vikings. Mm-hmm. 6 would be the Packers.
Mm-hmm. So I guess it would be.
Yeah,
interesting. Let's see. I hope so. I hope it happens. All right. Who's ranked just right, Kyle?
For me, just right. I gotta double check this, make sure I don't mess this up. I wrote it down earlier. The team that's just right, it's your Green Bay Packers.
Number 7.
I mean, they're hanging around. They should have probably won that game last week, in my opinion. And I think at the top of the NFC North, there's really centimeters between all these teams, right? The Detroit Lions are at the top of your power rankings list. This Green Bay Packers team took them down to the wire in Detroit. I love the Packers. I love Matt LaFleur. I love how creative he is. What's that?
Bad OPI call.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of questionable calls on both sides.
That was a terrible call.
That was a terrible call.
I just think that the Packers are dangerous, and you talked about it at the beginning of the season. And when you've got the pieces at the spots that they do, you're dangerous, and you have a chance to win every week. I mean, this Packers team has the right guy at quarterback. I trust their head coach as much as I trust any of the head coaches in the National Football League. Obviously, great fans. You get an opportunity to play at home. You can be dangerous. This Green Bay Packers team can beat anybody, but I think they're just right at 7 because the other group, as you're going to allude to, they've earned their right to be where they are.
But here's the other thing about the Packers. They've lost 4 games to the Eagles, 2 to the Lions, 1 to the Vikings.
By like 7 points?
20. Total of 20.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that tells you where they are as a
Yep.
team. And I still don't think we've seen the best of the Packers.
Nor do I.
I just don't. And they're going to be a wild card team. But as a wild card team, they're going to be one of those teams that nobody – it's like when Rodgers went on this run that one year as a wild card team. They have the capability of doing that. And they will – okay, if the playoffs started today, that they'd be the 6 seed playing the 3 seed. They go to this game this week. Mm-hmm. Seattle would be the playoff game.
The playoff
game. It would be a rematch. So I think they can beat anybody.
And you hit the nail on the head, and you're right up here. They've lost 4 games, but those 4 losses came to the teams ranked 1, 3, and 4 in your power rankings.
Right.
And by a total of those 4 losses, 20 points.
Yeah.
All very close games, all down to the wire. So, yeah, I do think that 7, I think, is perfectly where I put them. I think they're a very good team who obviously has had their chance to be in the upper echelon, failed all those chances, but they've also passed every test below them.
So they need Alexander back. They need Alexander back.
And Pete, you're going to love this, my Goldilocks team, if you can call it that, Kansas City Chiefs, or not the Kansas City Chiefs, the top 10. I actually like what the Kansas City Chiefs are, too. I think this is spot on your entire top 10. This is how I would rank the top 10 teams in the NFL right now. Lions, Chiefs, Eagles, Vikings, Bills, Steelers, Packers, Ravens, Chargers, Seahawks. That's my top 10. And as much as I've been a Chiefs hater all year long, and I think the Eagles are the more talented team at number 3, I just look at this past week's games, and the Eagles had their chance to close out the Carolina Panthers. Don't get to do it. Give the ball back to Bryce Young. Should have given up a game-losing touchdown. The Eagles were almost the Chiefs were almost in a nearly identical situation in terms of just like end of game. What do? 4 minutes, 35 seconds on the clock. They get the ball back. Take all the clock off. Take the 2 timeouts from Chargers.
Got to have it down. Mahomes makes
Got to have it.
Travis.
They make the play. Easy game-winning field goal. It should have been easier than it looked.
That felt Chiefs-ish.
That's just the difference between those 2 teams right now is that I don't trust the Eagles in close games. They've eked out a few, but they've had some terrible decision-making in some of those and resulted in 2 of their losses. So, yes, I think this is how I would rank the top 10.
And here's the other thing about the
Hat
Chiefs.
tip to you.
Everybody keeps saying close games. It isn't about the regular season for them. It's whatever they get in the regular season, they're going to have the number 1 seed, right?
Yep.
So the number 1 seed means you win 2 games and off you go to the Super Bowl, correct? So these close games are good for them.
Yeah.
It toughens you up.
You heard Chris Jones talk about it after the game.
Yeah.
They're like, why are you guys in close games? He's like, I got to get them media ratings up. But he's like, in all seriousness, we're preparing to play in the playoffs.
Right.
They're all close games in the playoffs. There's no blowouts.
Correct.
So I do like that, Mike. Your Pete's top 10 is your rank just right.
Right. So they get the bye, and then they have to win 2 games
Yeah.
at home,
Yep.
at Arrowhead, with Mahomes
Yeah.
and Andy Reid
And
and
they're getting
Spagnuolo.
healthier. Yeah.
Right. I'll take my look. I picked Buffalo to win it this year, to win the AFC. They're going to have to go to Arrowhead and win. That ain't easy.
Yep.
No. And in addition to that, we talked about I'm going to talk about the Chiefs a little bit right here. DJ Humphries, new left tackle, goes out there and plays. It was obvious that his feet were what do they say? Not under him yet.
No, he stunk.
I wouldn't say he stunk. There was some stuff that he did that I thought was really good. But you get a soft
Well,
tissue injury. He's getting an MRI on his hamstring. I think the only option here for the Kansas City Chiefs is kick Joe Thuney out to left tackle, because since he has been in the building, he has been the best left tackle on the roster. I thought he was a better left tackle than Orlando Brown Jr.
Well, they need a guard then?
Well, they can put Wanye Morris in there, or they can put Caliendo in there at guard, or they can call their big bald buddy here in studio. But
Did he play tackle at NC State?
What's that?
He played tackle at NC State.
Thuney was an absolute stud at tackle. And I remember in Cincinnati playing against Trey Hendrickson, Orlando Brown went down, and we were like, I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And Thuney was like, I could do this. They kicked him out to left tackle, and he was a friggin' stone wall. So Thuney, left tackle, you got to have somebody fill in there at left guard, but I think that's your best bet moving forward. Okay, that was your Goldilocks segment, brought to you by Travis Matthew Apparel, designed for confidence and comfort no matter where the day takes you.